Hello, and welcome to the More Than Muscle podcast, presented to you by your coach and overall favorite person, me, trainer Greg McBride. I'm super excited that you are tuned in today, and you can stay tuned in by subscribing to this podcast. In the More Than Muscle podcast, we will cover the skills, habits, and practices needed to be successful. Going beyond just the physical, we will talk about how to be the best version of yourself, all while looking through the lens of health and fitness. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the More Than Muscle podcast. This is episode 14. Just got done with a quick workout, so now we're in here, and I'm ready to talk more about fitness. Today we're going to be covering philosophies and what is my life's philosophy. So my life's philosophy has changed a little bit over the time. It hasn't always stayed the same. I have had a philosophy that I started back about my third year as a trainer. My manager then, he said, hey, this is very important. You need to have this philosophy. You need to have something that you kind of govern your life by, at least your career by. So for me, my philosophy was wrapped around the idea of life as a sport. Now, I stuck with that for a very long time. And what that philosophy kind of went through and said is that I wanted everyone to understand that they're an athlete. And to be an athlete, you need to be able to do certain things. You need to be able to move your body. But my definition of an athlete was someone who was able to just get up and be able to do anything that you want to do at any given time. Not to be laboring, not to be in pain, or just unable to complete certain tasks. I wanted you to be an athlete. If you want to go out right now and go for a swim or go and ride your bike or play basketball, I want everyone to be at a level where they can do that and feel good about being able to do that. So that philosophy stuck with me for a very long time. As my interests changed a bit, as I got more into bodybuilding, I've noticed my philosophy kind of changed as well. And not until recently did I ever really take the time to reevaluate this. Now, it was one of the advice of getting the same person who had me go through this was, this is something that might change. This is something that you need to evaluate from time to time. And now, my age right now, I'm realizing, my youth is kind of starting to go away. It's going to be the same. So, bodybuilding kind of gave me a new outlook on how I could compete, being that I couldn't do the same things I did athletically. My body was worn down from years of what I went from wrestling to football, and even track put a big pounding on my body. So I said, well, I know one thing I do have right now is my ability to change myself and the way that I look, my appearance. So I wanted to be able to look as good as I can, as long as I can, to be honest. I may not be the best looking guy in the world, but I know that I can at least control, the way my body is put together. So that's kind of how my philosophy is right now. The whole look the part, I want, if anything, I want to be able to look like I can do the things that I do, or even the things that I used to do. And so I stuck with that for a while, and there's been some instances in my life that kind of made me think, that's not the best way to go about. That shouldn't be the way I live. That shouldn't be my philosophy. And that's when this More Than Muscle really came in. Impacted me, and I thought, I need to be more. There's one specific instance, and this person will probably never hear this episode, but there was this girl that I liked back in middle school, and huge crush, and I thought, one day I'll shoot my shot. Again, this is me in middle school, guy with the huge Coke bottle glasses and braces, but I was still an athlete, so I had some leverage. I wasn't just locked into the group of nerds or geeks, or wasn't quite able to fit in with the jocks or all the athletes. So I was kind of that in between. So any given day, who knows how the rest of the world looked at me. So I figured, one day I'll get the nerve to go say something to her. But we were kind of friends, and if you're friends with a female, it's not really what you think. But she came to me one day, really odd, and she must have known that I liked her, but said, you know what, if you didn't have those glasses and you had like hazel eyes, I'd date you. She's like, you look pretty good, from the neck down. I'm like, wow. So that was one of those moments where I'm like, you know what? I need to reassess the way I think about myself, the way I look at myself. In that moment, it was kind of like a thing, if I could control this, then maybe I can get more people to like me. Now I'm at the point where, hey, I don't care if you like me or not, honestly, if you don't like me for who I am. But also, I don't want that to be the deciding factor in how people treat me is by the way I look. So there are a lot of stereotypes and things, and people try to identify themselves as one thing or another, and controlling the way we look is a way to do that. But I had a conversation just today in the gym with one of my buddies, and what we talked about was this one guy who I won't mention, but he's really big in social media, and I got caught in the stereotyping. He is a bodybuilder guy. I labeled him a gym bro. And I'm like, I don't know him. I did say this. I don't know him personally, but from what I see and the way he's portrayed, I don't think I would like him. And I did use the term gym bro. My friend looked at me. He's like, you know what? A lot of people in this gym right now probably say the same thing about us. They would consider us the gym bros. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And again, somebody said it. I don't really know the guy, but that is my perception. So I want to be more than what people initially perceive when they look at me. So I want to break stereotypes, and that's always been a thing with me. From when I had my big afro, when I had dreads, I wanted to be the person that breaks stereotypes. So what would a philosophy look like? Do you have a philosophy? And if you don't like the term philosophy, think about a mission statement. You look at your favorite companies, the people that you support. What are their mission statements? I'm gonna give you a couple examples of some companies that I, interact with. So I told you guys recently that I bought a new bed because I'm putting an emphasis on sleep and recovery and just being at my full potential. So I bought my bed from Slumberland about a month ago now, and yes, it was great. I don't have a lot of pain when I sleep anymore, but I've looked into them and saw what their kind of beliefs is, their philosophy, and they do have a mission statement, and this is their mission statement: to work with honesty and integrity, to treat one another with love, dignity, and respect, and to be a good citizen. And there's a little paragraph that went into more detail, but it ended by saying, they finished up with this sentence right here. It says, in this way we hope to share our expertise and good fortune and to remain focused on what counts: friends, family, and happy, healthy homes. Pretty good, right? It kind of surmises what they do in their company. One other company that I supported for the longest, I am a Nike fan. I will wear everything Nike at all times if I could. And for good or for bad, I'm not trying to push any brands on anyone, but Nike's, they don't call it a mission statement. What they call it, maybe they did. It's their mission. But to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Pretty cool. And so I thought this kind of lined up with my initial philosophy, because right after that they have an asterisk next to the word athlete, and they call an athlete, it says, if you have a body, you're an athlete. Boom. So we're all athletes. Whether you have a full body parts missing, you're an athlete. And that's something that they focus on. So as I got into redeveloping my philosophy, this whole idea of being more than muscle, still going through and breaking stereotypes, I want to kind of share that with you guys. This is my measuring stick. This is the standard. So look back in your life, figure out what's important to you, what standards, what values, what things can you use to say, if I were to encompass all of my decision making, these are the points that I would want to focus on. So and once you do this, don't be afraid to revise it. You change, circumstances change, you develop, you become a different person every single day. So I would hope that your philosophy is one of those things that change as well. Your mission statement, what you want to do. And it all comes back to one of the themes that I'm never going to let die, and that's your purpose, your why. The things that you do should have purpose, and why you do them. You should know that and be able to articulate that. I want to be more than muscle. I don't want to be just this massive guy that people see, hey, yeah, he's probably strong, probably dumb too. That's why I got into poetry, playing instruments. I've always been an art guy. I was in the drama club, me and my buddies, my freshman year in college, we were writing every night. After one was a wrestler, my other friend played football with me. Every night after we went to practice, we had our classes, we ate dinner, we'd come back together in a room, turn on some music, and just write. We had a dream of publishing a poetry book. Never happened, but that is the kind of way I wanted to live. Always understanding that my body was important to me. My physicality was kind of part of who I was, but it wasn't everything. So my identity was not wrapped around being this strong, fit, or even aesthetic person. So again, make that statement and make sure you know that it can be revised at any time as your life changes. And when you have that, do use it. Don't just be something that you do. Let that be the metric. And if you don't have it, if it's not that good, if it's not that concise, you can't use it as a metric and a standard for you and your decision making, maybe you need to get a little bit more into it. Get a little bit more in depth and really figure out, what is your mission statement? What is your life's philosophy? That's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Dig into it, find your philosophy. Hey, you want to steal mine? Do it. Be more than muscle, guys. Thanks. This has been another episode of the More Than Muscle podcast. Thank you again for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope that you found something that you can take away and apply immediately to your life. I am your host, Trainer Greg McBride, and until next time, train with purpose and be more than muscle.